Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I'm going to share with you some of what's unfolding in the general crypto landscape, which just so happens to be occurring at a time when XRP has never been so perfectly positioned, at least not within the last 7 years. I mean, look, XRP is at 66 cents at the time that I'm recording this. It's early in the AM Wednesday morning, up past my bedtime is what it is. But within the last 24 hours, XRP damn near hit 74 cents. Now, I understand it's not above a buck yet. It's not above all-time highs yet. But if you've been paying attention, and maybe you haven't been, and no offense against you, I understand, like if crypto's moving sideways for 7 months, maybe you haven't been looking at it much, that's totally fine. But if you have been paying attention, then you're probably aware that almost every reputable XRP chart analyst under the sun has said to watch for a range of, depending on the analyst, anywhere from 64 to 66 cents as a notable level of resistance, right? Well, at least at the time I'm recording this, XRP is above that. In fact, it blasted up to the next notable level around 74 to 75 cents. So it's in between that. Now, I'm not a chart guy. I'm just telling you that I'm aware of this because I follow a ton of reputable chart analysts and share tons of different perspectives on this channel. I like diverse viewpoints, right? As long as somebody's not an idiot stick, I'm very happy, actually, indeed, to share diverse perspectives here. But XRP, this well positioned at a time when, my God, thanks to what has happened, I don't care what your politics are, I'm not going to get into that type of stuff, other than how it pertains to crypto and the economy and finance. I don't care what your politics are. What just happened a week ago with the election, incredible for crypto. That's why we've been seeing the blast off. That's why we've seen both the in legacy finance, the stock market, and crypto market doing what they're doing. It just is what it is. That's good. Now, we do need to see the incoming administration follow through. But let me share with you a few things that are unfolding. Just so happens to be at a time where XRP has never been so well positioned. Again, as I said, at least not within the last 7 years, which is how long I've been in crypto now. You're going to like this. This is incredible stuff. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so a few things to cover. I want to share with you this post from XRP community member and attorney Jeremy Hogan here. He shared some perspective, which I found to be rather insightful. And oh my God, if this actually happens, it's amazing. For the long term, I also want to share with you some potential outcomes for what might happen with current SEC Supreme Leader and Dictator Kim Jong-Gensler. And oh, and by the way, I mentioned this too. I meant to say this at the outset. There's this Washington Post article, and Brad Garlinghouse was interviewed here, and he had something to say, so I'm going to cover that as well. But look, let me say this actually, before I even share with you what's on the screen right here. I'm going to read this and share some thoughts about what Jeremy Hogan had to say. When I jumped into crypto 7 years ago, it was a lot less clear what things would look like the better part of a decade after that. And here we are, another, 7 years later. And, I admit, like, it was less clear back then. I was less certain as to what the landscape would look like today. Because I thought, okay, well, clearly, like, utility matters will win the day. My opinion on that not changed at all. But then there was this question in my mind. It's like, okay, so you have Bitcoin, which is what started this whole damn thing. It's unquestionably the least advanced cryptocurrency blockchain that there is in existence, because it was the first, and that's fine. It's not to disparage it. I'm just acknowledging reality, right? I'm still pro Bitcoin. I've still been holding it since 2017. But given that's the case, I was asking myself, and I thought it out loud even on this channel when I started it in late 2018. I was like, okay, so what actually matters here? Is it the case that just because Bitcoin was first, that it just becomes the standard, even if it's just as a store of value, and that's enough? Just because, once something becomes a standard, it is true, technologically speaking, it's hard for a technology, to be supplanted by something else, right? And even though, technologically speaking, admittedly, XRP's light years ahead, in terms of the attributes that Bitcoin does offer, is that sufficient for the people to just say, no, we're going to rally around this one, and this is going to be it for decades, hundreds of years, whatever it ends up being? And maybe that is the answer, because the more time passes, the harder it is to say, no, it's not going to be. I mean, look, this is bad. It launched in 2009. We're about to roll into 2025. So it's hard to argue against that. And so the first mover advantage is very real, even though obviously a cryptocurrency like XRP, even though XRP is old, uh, superior, absolutely superior. I mean, you're talking real-time settlement. You're talking about transaction costs so cheap, they might as well be free here, right? And so, I was thinking about this as I was reading through what Attorney Hogan had to say, because what he's highlighting here is the potential for the United States government to adopt not XRP, but Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. And we've talked about this. We've talked about this as an XRP community. We've talked about it as a broader crypto community. Would Bitcoin, or maybe multiple coins, ultimately be the new global reserve effectively? And what does that mean for the United States dollar? Because that's the current global reserve. Well, things are shifting here for sure. But there's an actual push here, and maybe this comes to pass, for Bitcoin to become a global reserve. Now, even though I'm way more excited for XRP, I got to tell you, I would love for this to be the case. I would absolutely look, if the United States does this, my God, the number of other countries that will copycat this, who knows what the number is, but my God, like the run on this. But see, the reason I care about that is as an XRP holder and as a person that's expecting the majority of my life-changing wealth to come in as a result of crypto, I'm expecting it to come in from altcoins. So if we get a bigger crypto pie, even if that's led by Bitcoin, that's good for me and you as XRP holders. We should want this. I'm not a maximalist. I don't care if it's not. I mean, because I'm biased in a sense that I want XRP to do better than anything else because, heavy XRP bags. Sure, fine. I'm intellectually honest about that. But to even have a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, be the one. Yeah, that's great for me and it's great for you. And this is, again, happening at a time when market's about to blow up. So I do want to say this. One more thing. I'm going to share with you what Attorney Hogan had to say. I don't, even if this is going to come to pass, in terms of this impacting the supply and demand dynamics of crypto markets, broadly speaking, it would be, presumably, past when this bull run would be over. Or you'd have, in theory, if things rushed ahead, maybe you could have, if this is passed, in its current form, which could change, by the way, maybe you do have some purchases start to take place depending on the start and end point of this bull run when this gets passed. Okay, fine. But if this does happen, the true impacts of this would be seen over a longer time period, honestly, over a span of decades. And it would be bigger than anything we've ever seen in the history of our species. And that might sound like hyperbole to you, but I mean that. Like, I really very genuinely mean that. And crypto already has been that, and it would be that even more. So that's what we're on the cusp of here. And you always feel like you're late too. Like when I jumped in 2017, $6,500 Bitcoin, I felt like the price was high then. Now it's at, almost $90,000. You might feel like you're late. Okay, but if this happens, where's this all going? Let me show you this. Live Coin Watch. You got the market cap for crypto asset class, 2.9 trillion roughly. This is going to be into the tens of trillions, and I will not be surprised to see it over $100 trillion. You're still early here, folks. So if you're going to have a crypto reserve, my God, this is good for you even if you don't hold Bitcoin. So here's what Attorney Hogan had to say. What's up with Bitcoin recently? Two things. First, Trump's win, plus the Republicans winning both the Senate and the House just official yesterday. Plus some support from a handful of Democrats now means that the U.S. Bitcoin purchase program seems likely to pass next year. And so what he's referencing here, it's officially called the Bitcoin Act of 2024, as referenced here in this Forbes article on your screen at the moment. Let's go back to Attorney Hogan. Attorney Hogan then says, when the U.S. government is buying over 5% of an asset and won't be selling it for 20 years, not only will that cause price to increase, but makes it 1,000% more likely that other countries will also jump on the Bitcoin bandwagon, and well, up goes the price. Okay, let me pause right there. Totally agree. Now, so then there's also the question of to what degree does that impact the cycle? Well, I mean, if magically this thing gets rushed through in its current form and there's some level of buying to some degree that would impact it, but it's a question of how much in the short term. But the excitement around it, that could also cause something too. So it's not just the supply and demand dynamics. It's what does this cause? What does this trigger in like the minds of people when they find out that this news occurs? So that can cause a run as well. But he's absolutely correct. Like if you're talking, especially over a longer time period, my God, 5%. I mean, so here he shared the screen grab and he shared two of the most interesting parts of this Bitcoin purchase program here. So this is the actual bill. This is the proposal. And again, it's subject to change, but look at this. It says, in general, the secretary shall establish a Bitcoin purchase program which shall, A, not purchase, purchase not more than 200,000 Bitcoins per year over a 5-year period for a total acquisition of 1 million Bitcoins. Okay, so even then it technically could be less, but would it be? I don't know, but there's that potential. This is real life, folks. Like, understand the incoming administration has the White House, the Senate, and the House. So I'm going to be following in coming days and weeks, so on and so forth, political pundits to get a better feel for the odds of this actually passing, especially in its current form. And I'll be happy to share what I learned in the future. So I don't have a strong perspective, honestly, at this moment in terms of the viability of this. But with that being the case, knowing that this particular party with the incoming administration is that pro-crypto, that bodes well for us here, all of us in crypto. Yes, it does. Congratulations on being early. Almost nobody's even paying attention, but you are, so kudos to you. Also, he highlighted this part, Attorney Hogan did. Also reads, in general, to ensure the long-term stability and security of the strategic Bitcoin reserve, the Secretary shall hold all Bitcoin acquired through the Bitcoin purchase program for not less than 20 years. Now, this is amazing. It's forced hodling by law. I absolutely love it. Now, think about that, too. So I don't remember the exact numbers. It's just occurring to me because sometimes when I talk, it's like a stream of consciousness. But there's been millions and millions of Bitcoins that are presumed to have been lost, especially from the early days when all sorts of people were mining themselves, sometimes even on like home PC, so on and so forth. And then it's like, magic internet money, and they forget about it. Maybe it won't be anything. Gone. Millions of Bitcoin just gone. The key's gone. People have passed, so on and so forth, all sorts of stuff. So consider that, which is, again, millions. And then you're talking about an additional 1 million, potentially, over a span of years. Close to 5% of the supply there ever will be just out of circulation. Cannot be circulated. And almost all Bitcoin has already been mined, by the way. Almost all of it. Yeah, that absolutely will strongly impact the supply and demand dynamics for Bitcoin. And as a result, the entire crypto space. Yes, it will. So, I mean, again, not convinced it's going to be necessarily, in terms of supply and demand, a big deal this cycle, but, there could be some additional mania because of it. Certainly happy to acknowledge that, and I'd be here for it, for sure. Isn't that freaking cool as hell? I love this. And so then Attorney Hogan says, second, MicroStrategy, knowing that the above will happen, smartly started buying a boatload of Bitcoin right after the election and has made a killing. Now, when Microsoft, for example, meets next month to decide what to do with the $400 billion in cash it holds, there will be a growing clamor amongst stockholders to maybe get some exposure to that Bitcoin stuff that is making MicroStrategy rich. Ditto for the ETFs. It's a confluence of state and private interests along with a sprinkle of game theory for good measure, which all point way up. Attorney Hogan, you're going to golf clap for that one. I'm a fan. Absolutely, totally agree. Spot on. There's nothing in here that I disagree with. Nothing. I was just adding additional thoughts. Spot on. This is a big deal, and you are here first. So, again, even if you don't care about Bitcoin, whatever, who cares? Like, I mean, yeah, I hold Bitcoin still. I hope to sell it all this market cycle. I'll probably be enticed to the way things are going, honestly. I'm way more excited about what a Bitcoin reserve would mean for the increased value in my altcoins, including XRP. Even if I sell this cycle, all of my XRP as the market dips, my full plan is to buy back in, absolutely. But if I have, life-changing wealth because of XRP, I'm gonna realize the profit. Like, I'm just gonna do that. I've made that very clear on this channel. But it doesn't mean I'm no longer confident in XRP. No. It's just about, for me, that would be what makes sense at the time. But then when the market dips, inevitably, oh yeah, happy to buy back in. especially understanding what something like this would mean. It's just, this is real. This is the type of stuff that seemed like fantasy in 2017 when I jumped into crypto. Now there's an actual bill here that we're talking about that, if passed in its current form, would do exactly what we want, what we've always wanted in crypto. It's like, it's honestly, sorry guys, like, sorry, not sorry, 7 years. It's it's exciting. Like, it's amazing to me that this is real life after pontificating about this for so long. Can you blame me? I mean, this is incredible stuff here. Now, we got to get rid of that asshat prick Gary Gensler. Let's talk about that. Oh my God. Kim Jong-Gensler, SEC Supreme Leader and Dictator. Okay, so normally, historically, what happens when there's an incoming administration, different, party-wise from the previous one, whoever is in charge of the SEC, they leave willfully. And so take a look at this. XRP community member and attorney James Murphy, aka Meta Lawman, he shared this post just yesterday. Time to say goodbye, Gary. And then he highlights what happened in previous terms for SEC chairs. November 8th, 2016. Trump elected. November 14th, 2016. So 6 days later. Mary Jo White, the SEC chair, announces her resignation. Well, how about that? That was pretty quick and timely, right? Because new admin comes in. All right, things got aligned. Pretty respectable. Okay, 4 years later, November 3rd, 2020, Biden elected. What happened then? November 16th, 2020, Jay Clayton announces resignation. That's right, goodbye, little asshat prick. That guy's... Thanks for suing us on the way at the door. We all appreciate that, you little prick. And then there's this, November 5th, 2024, Trump elected. And so there's a question of when does he go, right? November, 2024? Hey, Gensler, we're waiting. Okay, so when does he announce he's leaving? Or does he not, because he's just a despicable human? Is he actually going to fight this thing? Can he be fired? Because Trump, mind you, Trump actually said that, if it comes to it, he will fire Gensler. So take a look at this. Somebody actually asked Attorney Murphy here, can he fire him legally if Gary doesn't go willingly? And nobody knows for sure, but Attorney Murphy thinks the answer is probably yes. It's just got to be adjudicated, but here's what he had to say. The Supreme Court has not had occasion to rule on this question because SEC chairmen have followed tradition and resigned upon change of administrations. But a few Supreme Court justices, the Harvard Law Review, the Yale Journal of Regulation, and I, believe the president does have the authority to fire the SEC chairman if it comes to that. Okay, I don't have perspective on that because I'm not an attorney. Given my bias here, I would love for that to be true. If he actually doesn't quit. What's interesting, though, and I hadn't thought about this until Fox Business journalist Eleanor Terrett pointed this out. She wrote, Trump would likely take it to the courts if Gary Gensler doesn't go willingly, and he would then be paying legal fees out of his own pocket. Same with Jerome Powell, who has already said he won't leave if Trump asks him to. It'll be an expensive battle to stay. So I thought about that, and I was like, ooh, that's interesting. I really hadn't considered that before. Now, another thing to think about, though, for Gary Gensler, I don't know what his net worth is, but I will tell you this. A few years ago, it was reported that the estimated net worth of Gary Gensler was about $120 million. So I don't know that the fees would necessarily dissuade him, but there is the additional disgrace that goes along with this and the stress that comes along with a multi-year lawsuit on top of what would presumably potentially rack up into the millions of dollars for him in terms of legal fees. Does he want to deal with that? Does he want to worsen his legacy? I mean, whatever that... I mean, he'll just act like whatever he did was awesome sauce. I get that. He's an absolute disgrace, unquestionably. Oh my God. Arguably the worst SEC chair in history. I haven't even researched all of them, but I just assume that is true based on the despicable behavior that I've seen. It's hard to imagine that another winged creature from the depths below has actually done worse than him. He's like a hell spawn, a spawn of Satan, basically, right? So it's hard to imagine. But if there is one worse, somebody let me know. I'm just skeptical of that ever being the case. So maybe he fights it, but to what end? There's a reasonable chance, maybe a good chance, that at least according to some attorneys, that he wouldn't even get what he wants in the end. And then for what? His term's up in what anyway? Like, if I'm not mistaken, it's up in what, first half of 2026, I want to say. So, and how long would these legal proceedings take? Do you want that to be your life? I mean, maybe he does it. We'll see here. Then we got this from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. Chatted with Tony Romm about how the incoming Trump administration is already engaging proactively with the crypto industry on clear rules of the road. What a breath of fresh air. Well, Brad Garlinghouse, hallelujah! I'm with you, man. It's just been disgusting these last several years. It's so nice. Forget the rest of the politics. It's so nice to have an administration coming in. If they follow through, and we do need to see that, but I'm optimistic, that will actually be pro-crypto. I mean, so far, again, I don't care what your politics, I'm not going to get into it. That's not what this channel is for. He has been, this is Trump, at the top of this administration, has been, at least to this point, indicating that actually making declarations that are in line with what he's promised on other aspects leading into this election, which he ultimately won. Assuming he follows through with crypto, my God. And there are hints that he is. I mean, the rumblings in the background, who he's talking to, if he weren't serious about the stuff he said leading up to this, I don't think he'd be having the conversations behind the scenes that we now know about, because some stuff bubbles to the surface and we're aware of this. I have a strong suspicion we're going to be really happy he's going to follow through, and this will be very good for our net worths as it pertains specifically to crypto. That's for sure. So this is the article that was written by Tony Romm and shared by Brad Garlinghouse from the Washington Post. Trump eyes pro-crypto candidates for key federal financial agencies. Now, I'm only going to share with you a short bit of this. It's pretty long. It's a pretty reasonable article. The thing that bothered me the most, perhaps, out of this is that they incorrectly stated that Ripple launched XRP, but I'm not going to assume, since it's not crypto media should know better by now. It's 2024, bitch. I'll assume that WAPO here just was unaware and got that thing wrong, and I could see how that would happen. Especially if you're doing research, you could read any number of incorrect articles over the years. But check this out. His days are numbered, said Brad Garlinghouse, the chief executive of Ripple, adding that the company has been in touch with the Trump transition team. I think it's clear this is an area they intend to continue to focus on. I think Trump and a bunch of people realize there's a new set of technologies that are likely to define the next couple of decades. Direct quote. Look, I know the Brad Garlinghouse, CEO, putting on the smiley face when Gary Gensler is coming in. This slaps a little bit differently to me. Does it to you? Because to me, it's just like he said the thing that you'd expect a responsible CEO to say when there's a new SEC chair coming in after you just got sued. This seems like, and this is after a victory. I know there's the appeal process going on for Ripple, but it doesn't impact XRP anyway. Doesn't this hit a bit different? He's been so vocal about the disgrace that Gary Gensler is, and very positive about this administrative change. I take it for what it's worth. I mean, we can only read the tea leaves here from the outside, but doesn't look bad at a minimum, right? Piece continues. Broadly, crypto supporters say Gensler has wrongly stretched the law out of personal distaste for digital assets, and they expect his successor to reverse course on some of the federal enforcement actions now underway. But it remains unclear if Trump can or will actually fire the sitting SEC chairman rather than demote him to a commissioner while turning over the agency to a new leader. Fully ousting Gensler, a Senate-confirmed regulator, could trigger a novel and complicated legal battle over the president's authorities, some of the people familiar with the matter said. Gensler, for his part, has not said explicitly if he intends to step down or on his own after the change in administration, though top SEC officials often do. A spokeswoman declined to comment. So my for fun guess is he's going to step down. I don't know. What would I place the betting odds on that? I don't know, 60, 70%? Because I think he's that disgusting of a person, and he's wealthy enough that if he just wants to be a little, not even a little, like a much bigger prick than he actually is, yeah, I could see him doing that. I could see him fighting that. I don't think it would necessarily go well for him, and for a number of reasons, even outside of the, like, whatever the legal outcome would ultimately be. But yeah, I'd be willing to bet he's probably going to step down. Look, the writing's on the wall here. It just seems very obvious. Like, crypto is here to stay. We won. It doesn't mean there's zero battles to fight, but like, the writing's on the wall. And this this asset class, my God, if you fast forward another decade, another 2 decades, it's going to be monstrous compared to what it is now. It's a little baby asset class right now, and you're here. And if you're brand new, no, you're not late. All of us would have preferred to have been here sooner. I got in 2017. Yeah, I was like, oh man, Bitcoin's $6,500 now. If only I knew about it years ago, I could have got it for like $100, $300, $1 if I were early enough, right? So what? The opportunity is very real for life-changing wealth. We are here. It's going in the right direction. And again, all this is happening as very clearly XRP is here to stay. It's about to launch for this market cycle, I'm guessing. And in terms of fundamentals, it's never been stronger. So, as a number of years pass, just imagine what that looks like for XRP specifically. So even if the global reserve is Bitcoin and there are no others, that's great for all of us here in altcoin land. It's also possible that you could have a number of additional coins, like including altcoins, that are also part of strategic global reserves. So it doesn't mean XRP couldn't ever. It could. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying it is possible something like that could happen. So we'll see. But if you're not excited right now, like, do you have a pulse? I have to ask. This is such cool stuff. So let me know what you think. Sorry, I've been a little long-winded here, but I don't know. I'm feeling good. Can you blame me? Like, this past week in particular, it's just been like unreal. And with the election and all the market activity that's happened, it's just like, man, life is good. You'll love to see it. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.